Hey everybody, so my name is Dan Bellamy and I have a ministry called Inflatable Stories. But before I did that, I was a full-time youth minister like a lot of you, and I have a great love for teenagers. Now I've seen a lot of posts asking about ideas to do for their teenagers for graduation, especially in cities where you're still not allowed to have contact. And I know in some cases you're like, hey, I don't even want to take anything to their door for them to take inside. So I wanted to offer a simple yard decor balloon design that you can do for your students that is fairly easy, not a super complicated design with a lot of visual appeal and some size, something that you can put in their yard and go follow social distancing, but also let them know, hey, I love you, congratulations on graduation, and you can adapt this easily to things besides graduation as well. So to do this, you're going to need this design. I've got four 11-inch round balloons. I've got four 16-inch round balloons. I've got one 3-foot round balloon. And this is something called a 660B, similar to a 646Q, which is a different brand. You don't have to have this part. I'm going to use this to decorate my pole in a few minutes. So these are the basic tools that we've got. Other things that would be nice, I've got a balloon sizer, but you don't have to have a balloon sizer. You can set up a couple of books the right distance apart. These measurements aren't an exact science. You've got some flexibility. I've got my electric balloon pump. It's nice, but you can use a mechanical balloon pump. And it doesn't have to be a big floor pump like this one. If you've got a hand pump will get old, but you can get there. And if you want to message me, I've actually seen a pump on Amazon that's about $20, but I've heard other balloon artists say, hey, for the money, this is actually a pretty good quality backup pump. So you've got really some options on inflating these. And if you've got good volunteers around the church, you can probably get some people to help with some of these tasks. The other two things that you'll need as you're buying things, you are going to want a piece of 1/2-inch PVC. I recommend the thicker stuff. They've got two thicknesses for plumbing. I like the thicker stuff just because it's a little stronger. And you'll want, I've got a piece of 3-foot rebar. You can get it at the hardware store. It's pretty cheap. We're going to use that to nail in the ground and put the PVC over it. So we'll get there in a minute, but let's go back to the balloons. So the first step of our design, heads up, the rebar gets messy straight out of the store. First step of our design, we are going to start with our 11-inch round balloons here. I'm going to do these on my timer for like 3.5 seconds. Which doesn't have to affect you at all. So I've got them poofed up. These are just under 8.5 inches, which I would say 8.5 inches is a good size for you to try for. Note that I'm kind of poofing these into a nice round shape. And you'll want to note the sizing. While it's not important what size you go to, but it is important that you're consistent with the size that you use. So I've got two here, then I'm going to do my other two. Here they go, coming up. Just like so. I'm going to make them a little better circles. Bam. When you tie them nice and close together. You don't want to leave a lot of looseness between the balloons as you tie your knot. So then when I've got my two sets of two, I'm going to wrap those together into a quad like so. That is group one. Then I've got my 16 inchers. Those take a lot more air to inflate. So I'm going to do these. They'll probably be 14 or 15 seconds a piece, and my timer only goes to just under 10 seconds. Actually, you know what? I like this size. If you're aiming for a specific size, you'll probably want to go somewhere around 11 or 12 inches. The main thing is you want a contrast in size to the other 4 balloons that we just did. And also, you don't want to make your 16-inch balloons too full. I like to leave some extra space because that extra space means there's that much less pressure on your balloon when you set these things up. So let me inflate my other 2. Beautiful. Now I had some of my metallic and pearlish balloons in stock, so I decided to go with those. That's not necessary for your design. For one thing, balloons oxidize in the sun, so a lot of this shine will actually be lost once we get out in the sun. So I wouldn't stress over that and using the shiny colors. So, alright, we've got a good start here with our 2 sets of balloons. So we're going to finish it off with our 3-footer, and our 3-footer is going to take a little more time to inflate. I'll probably have to run the timer like 3 seconds, or 3 times, and if you're really sweet to me, I'll fast forward it for you. So we've got it inflated. One of your slowest pieces of this, the part that you're going to miss having a Decor pump the most for if you don't get one, is this 3-foot balloon. But what you can do if you've got something like a mattress inflator, I've actually got a tiny leaf blower that I've got a special nozzle for. The main thing with this, make sure that the contrast in sizes is appealing. So I actually ran this for about a full minute on my sizing pump to give you a comparison of just how much air is in this one. And it is not inflated to 3 feet. It's probably only inflated to about 2 feet. So it's way underinflated for its potential size. Now let's put these pieces together. One piece of the puzzle that I did not tell you at the beginning of the video that's going to be helpful is Decor line, which is basically just fishing line. I've got a long piece here. You'll want scissors for it because here's the thing, you don't want to use just like 2 or 3 pound test like you'd use for small fish. You want to use big fish stuff. So this one is, I think, 30-pound test, and that starts getting really strong. I wouldn't use under about 20-pound test because the last thing you want is your balloon blowing away and getting in the road and causing trouble. So let me grab my scissors because this test is too strong for me to easily tie. There we go. Now when you get that, what I'm going to do to make sure everything's secure is I'm going to actually tie this heavy test line onto my balloon. And I'm going to do that, I'm going to tie it above the knot. Just the main thing is tie your knot, just make sure it's a secure knot. A very secure knot, I'm going to do 1 loop just like I would my shoelaces. Then I'm going to loop the loose end around twice after I've made another loop to lock it off. I'm going to tie it in tight. And that is a nice knot. So next what you're going to do, you're going to wrap this around your quads of 4. And the way to do it is a figure 8 motion. So you're around 1, then swing all the way back around the opposite side, and then swing 2, times around the middle one, and that'll lock it in good. Well, you don't want to wrap it around forever and ever, because that's not actually going to make it tighter or stronger in the end. So let me show you that one more time. We're going to take our other quad, we're going to wedge it right here into the groove of the top one. Now you're going to pull it good and tight, tighter than you really feel comfortable. Wrap that around one balloon, wrap it around the opposite balloon, wrap it twice around the middle balloon, and bam, we've got our topper. Now to finish that off, I'm just going to tie a knot like I did around the first balloon. I just make one loop, go around through the hole, pull it tight, and tighten it on down. There we go. And I'm going to do that one more time. Make another loop. But this time, I'm going to loop through the hole twice. 1, 2. There you go. Slide that knot down to the bottom. I like to keep it, be sure it stays loose enough as I do that. Now I'm going to hang on to my Decor line, my fishing line here for one more minute, because I'm going to use it to attach it to our pole momentarily. But before we attach it to our pole, I'm going to show you my pole cover here. What we're going to do, we're going to take our 646. Inflate it all the way, and then let the air right back out. I know you're wondering why in the world I did that. Well, you may remember I said this was for our pole cover. These 646s, once they've been inflated, they're really big and relatively easy to slide over a pole. And it just means you're not just putting a plain white pole. It makes it look a little more classy when you put it in the yards, so that it's not just that PVC pole. So, here we go. Takes a minute to get it started, but once you do, there we go. Got it part way. Possible you'll want a second one as you do this, because this will probably be one of the trickier parts for you if you're not used to working with balloons. Shoot, maybe even if you are used to working with balloons. So, I'm going to slide this on, and I'll tell you what, there we go. This one's not cooperating too much, and that happens. And I'm going to leave this in the video just so that you know that happens. My nozzle broke off, so instead of grabbing a rubber band or tying it on with another balloon, I'm just going to use the nozzle as a wrap to hold it in place. And I'm going to grab one more balloon, and we're going to grab the other side with it. Here we go. Feels good. We're going to let all the air back out. We're going to come down the pole from the other side. You're going to want to watch those edges. Balloons, even uninflated balloons, don't love sharp things. There we go. Let's slide it on down. Great. Alright, this one had the nozzle break off as well, but again, saves me tracking down a rubber band, which is lovely. I'm going to slide this on down here. Excellent. Slide that nozzle up here to hold it. And there you go. We have got a covered hole here. And I'm going to cut a hole in the end of one side because I'm going to be sliding this over the rhubarb when we get outside. So that is most of the design. The final thing you need to do before you go outdoors you're going to take our balloons that we've done so far, you're going to wedge the pole right in the middle of it. We've got our piece of Decor line. You do not have to do this exactly this way, but the big thing is you need that pole well secured. So do whatever that takes to get it well secured. Because the last thing you want is it coming off flying around the neighborhood. So what I'm actually going to do, I'm wrapping this piece of Decor line through, but I'm going to actually grab another one and just plain tie it on with a knot, just to make sure that we are good and secure. So I got another piece here. I had pre-cut pieces and they got some little knots in them, as string is fond of doing. So let's see. Here we go. I'm going to take this piece. And the main thing is just tie yourself a good knot that you know is locked in well. So, one more knot. Beautiful. I'm going to use my same little loop, pull tight, then go back, make another loop, circle the string twice, and I'm sorry that I can't show you a close-up of this, but circle it twice, pull it good and tight, and there we go. We've got it on the pole pretty nicely. So let's head outside for the final installation. Sound good? Let's go. Okay, so we've got the hard part out of the way. We're outside. We've got our rebar to put that in the ground as our stand. We just find a good spot. You might check with the homeowner to make sure there's no wiring or plumbing in the ground. Most spots are safe. Just have that in the back of your mind. A good thing to look for is where the plumbing connection out toward the road is, because the pipes almost certainly run straight back toward the house. So once you get your rebar, find a good spot on the ground. I've got my rubber mallet, and I'm going to hammer it in a foot and a half. Just get it in there so that you feel confident that it's going to be stable. Our final step is going to be very simple, but before I get the balloons out, by the way, don't bring the balloons out with the rebar, because that'll get you, well, in just an awkward spot trying to hold the balloons and the rebar and the hammer. But if you haven't already cut your PVC at this point, I did want to note that you can get cheap PVC cutters at the hardware store in the plumbing section. Very easy to use. So just know that you don't have to have some fancy saw or something to do this project. So let me get the balloons and we will install those, and then we'll be set. Okay, so our final step, really easy. We've got our pole, we've got our rebar. If you didn't cut a hole through the balloon on the bottom of the pole for it to slide, that'll help. And slide it just like so. And there we have it. Now before you run away, if you'll meet me back inside, I've got just one more thing I want to say to you before we go. Thanks. Alright, so you made it to the end. The final word I wanted to say was simply thank you. Like I say, I was in youth ministry for a long time, and I never faced anything like what you're facing right now, where you've got to completely rework everything that you've done outside the boundaries of what anybody's ever expected. So thank you. Thank you. I know there are moments when you work so hard on that video and it's gotten 3 views that you wonder what is the point. But it matters. You know, it matters to those 3 people. It matters to the youth that are bothering to get online. And honestly, you may not see it, but it matters to a lot of the youth that aren't getting online. So thank you, thank you, thank you for all that you are doing. I appreciate you so much, and it does matter. It matters to your church. It matters to those youth. It matters to the kingdom. You are a blessing. Thanks so much. Go love on your grads. Go love on your students, and have a great day.